Um, I finally had the opportunity. I finally had the opportunity to peep out the Michael Blackson interview that he recently just did on the Breakfast Club. You know, I've been hearing about it. I meant to watch it a few days ago, but I finally found the opportunity to do so today. And basically, what I kept hearing about the interview here and there, for the most part, what I was hearing about the interview was that, what were people saying? They were saying, okay, like basically the recent interview that Deezus and Mero did on the Breakfast Club, people were basically saying that's karma for DJ Envy for how him and the Breakfast Club, I guess, treated Michael Blackson during their interview. Okay. That's the most popular statement I've been hearing in regards to the interview that Michael Blackson recently just did with the Breakfast Club a few days ago or something. So anyway, I finally watched the interview. Okay. I mean, to me, of course it's funny. It's Michael Blackson. I mean, it's Michael Blackson. You know what I'm saying? Come on. I mean, it's funny. You know what I mean? It's hilarious. And Michael Blackson, he's a naturally funny person, naturally funny comedian, and he's a professional. So he conducted himself well. The interview's like maybe 40, 42 minutes or something like that. I remember watching the interview. We weren't even at the halfway point yet. It was like maybe 12, 15 minutes in or something like that. And I remember automatically beginning to think, I'm like, dag, yo, why are they conducting the interview like this? To me, this wasn't even an interview. For the most part, it was more like an interrogation. You know what I'm saying? The way the way all three of them was going at Michael Blackson. I mean, like I said, he's a professional, so he was doing his thing. Charlemagne, let's start. Charlemagne the God, I mean, I like Charlemagne, he's a funny dude. He's normally got the jokes. He normally does a majority of the talking when the guests are there, and he's got the jokes. He's a funny dude, Every now and then, Angela Yee will jump in. She might make a statement, have a question, for the guests. Okay. And DJ Envy, he might say something here and there, but for the most part, he just plays his position. He just does his job, So it's not uncommon during these interviews for me to not hear DJ Envy say much, if anything at all. It's not uncommon. It's not a problem, So commonly, that's what I'm used to when I tune into the Breakfast Club interviews and I see them interact with their guests. But see, the reason why I feel like this was an interrogation, because like I don't know, the way the interview was conducted was just kind of like, what is going on here exactly? Like, they were playing all these random clips of like other comedians that we're familiar with, or most of you should be familiar with. They're very popular, very good at what they do, and they were making comments about this situation or verbal social media back and forth that's been going on recently between Kevin Hart and Michael Blackson in regards to, whatever Kevin Hart's got going on right now within his personal life and, what Michael Blackson thinks about it. And the point that Michael Blackson was trying to make is like, look, we're comedians. Kevin Hart's a comedian. He should understand this. If you don't understand this, you should understand this or begin to understand this or learn ways how you can understand this right now, okay? A comedian is a comedian. It's comedy. It's jokes, okay? Just that's why they have comedy roasts, okay? And all the comedians and all the people participating, they roast each other. They get on each other. They tell jokes because it's a joke. And I've always told people, it's like, look, the best jokes you will ever hear have truth to them or some degree of truth to them. Those are the best jokes. That's why some people can't take it. They can dish it out, but they can't take it. So anyway, I mean, like, for the most part, this interview, the Breakfast Club would not stop talking. They kept talking about Kevin Hart. They jumped off the interview throwing Kevin Hart's name in there. They kept talking about Kevin Hart like he was going to do a surprise appearance at some point in the studio with them during this interview. They kept talking about Kevin Hart. They kept talking about Kevin Hart. They kept talking about Kevin Hart. And like I said, Michael Blackson, he handled it like a pro. He was smooth with it. And of course, he was funny. He was funny the whole time. And the interview was funny. It was good. But I think personally, what made this interview, I think the Breakfast Club clearly had an agenda heading into this interview. And that's what I think overall for me makes this interview just so funny. And I'm not saying the Breakfast Club played themselves, but because this ain't Hot 97 and I'm not Ebro or Rosenberg or anybody like that, but I'm just saying it's like it's just, you know, I was looking when people do interviews and they got stuff going on right now and they're public figures, they're celebrities. I'm looking forward to listening to them talk about what they got going on right now, what's coming up for them right now, you know, in the near future, the future. You know, they could talk about themselves too, which Michael Blackson was doing. He was talking about his history in the United States of America, you know, his citizen status, what have you. You know, he was answering some questions about, you know, some of the perceptions people have about him. He was setting the record straight. He was on point. But they just kept talking about Kevin Hart, you know, and I'm cool with it. I mean, I understand what, you know, Michael was talking about. He was just like, you know, these are jokes. And, you know, he was talking about him and Kevin Hart's personal history, you know, throughout the years in comedy in Philadelphia, because, you know, he's from Philadelphia. Michael Blackson's from Philadelphia. Kevin Hart's from Philadelphia, you know, so they got that personal history there. But it was, to me, it was an interesting interview. Not a bad interview, if you want to still call it an interview, but it was just kind of, it really reminded me of like when I was a kid watching, you know, these talk shows that I used to be into, you know, like, you know, Jerry Springer, Ricky Lake, Jenny Jones, you know, even Maury, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, the talk shows were like, you know, the fuckery is coming, okay? The audience, everyone that tunes in, the fans, what have you, the viewers, you know the is coming, okay? Because we are here to celebrate the fuckery. We are here to promote the fuckery, okay? Therefore, we will continue to discuss and recycle the fuckery because we know that's what you're here for. I think that's one of those human nature things because, you know, I said this about that show, The Apprentice, you know, the show, the Donald's show. I said this about The Apprentice a long time ago. I was like, here's why people, and that's why I think this is why a lot of people, a lot of women for the most part, love daytime soap operas. There is drama, okay? Like the show The Apprentice, okay? Like they have the challenges and we have two teams. Now, if there wasn't drama in between the members on these teams, you know, they just ran like a well-oiled machine and everything went smoothly and they won the challenge or whatever, I don't think a lot of people would be interested because a lot of people see that as unrealistic. You know, they can't personally relate to that. It's not perfect, which is true. Life isn't perfect. Human beings are not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Your neighbor's not perfect. Your friend's not perfect. I can go on and on and on. I think you get the point by now. But this interview, they just kept talking about Kevin Hart. They just kept throwing his name in there. They kept talking about Kevin Hart. And Michael Blackson was explaining himself very well. And for whatever reason, you got Angela Yee. Big ups to Angela Yee. I'll give Angela Yee credit for how she conducted herself for the Deezus of Mero interview after DJ Envy took an extended bathroom break or something. For whatever reason, Angela Yee's like, you know, she brings up the issue of I can't remember if it was her first that brought it up. It probably was. This is the most I've heard Angela Yee talk during any flipping interview. It's usually Charlemagne that does more so of the talking if he's not doing more so of the listening to guests. You know, the subject of Miss Georgia Rain comes up. For those of you that do not know, that is Mr. Michael Blackson's, I guess, previous girlfriend, previous fiance, ex-girlfriend, however you want to, you know, label it as. And, you know, Angela Yee's whipping out her cell phone talk. She's like communicating with, you know, Miss Georgia during the show, like texting her and, you know, coming up with all these pop-up questions that it's like, you know, it depends on what type of person you are. You know, like if I'm the guest on your show, I'll answer your question, you know, out loud. Of course, in my mind, I might, unless I'm messing with you, in my mind, I might just be like, yeah, why are you asking me that right now? What does that have to do with anything exactly? Just, I'm going to answer your question, but what you talking about? What you know about that? What your man got to do with me? What are you talking about, B? You know? Oh, man. And like, I don't know, like Angela Yee had a lot to say during this Michael Blackson interview. I was like, okay. Miss Angela T. I mean, Yee, wow, you got a lot going on right now. And then she's talking about, you know, oh, I'm going to get her on the phone. And, you know, during the interview, she's like, she's going to get, you know, Miss Georgia Rain on the phone. It's like, okay, Michael Blackson was cool. He's like, yeah, do it. I don't care. We cool. You know, go ahead. Go on, do it. And then eventually Miss Georgia Rain is on the phone during the interview. And basically when she was there for a while talking for a little while. She seems cool. I don't know about her personally like that, but she seems cool. And Michael Blackson eventually, while Miss Georgia Rain is talking on the phone, talking about basically everything that Angela Yee and the Breakfast Club want to know about. They want additional information. That's why I'm comparing this to like an interrogation, or like, you know what I'm saying, like you trying to obtain more evidence or something to support your case in order to convict Mr. Michael Blackson for some sort of sex crime or something like that. Where are your minds at right now? What's going on with this? Why can't we talk about what this dude is professionally working on right now? You want to talk about all this juicy, gossipy crap that everybody may not be interested in. I'm not so interested in. I mean, to me, Kevin Hart's cool. He's funny. Worked in an event with him. Yes, he is short. He's not Cat Williams, but yes, he is short. But that's beside the point, okay? So I remember I said something while Miss Georgia Rain was talking on the phone, and I'm thinking to myself, like what's going on here? Is this actually Michael Blackson's interview right now, or what's going on? Now you're interviewing Miss Georgia Rain for some reason. You're showing all these random clips, when Marlon Wayans was on the show, when Tony Rock was on the show, when Sinbad was on the show. Sinbad's clip, he wasn't even talking about Kevin Hart and Michael Blackson. A few other people. That's not coming. To Faison Love. I mean, people I'm more familiar with, but it's like, what kind of interview is this? Like I said, this reminds me of some talk show where the is encouraged and celebrated and syndicated and repeated and recycled, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, wow. And eventually, yeah, I think Michael Blackson probably reached this point like, okay, I mean, he was cool the whole time. Don't get it wrong. He was cool the whole time, but I think he finally got to a point like, okay, can we keep this moving? I mean, how long you gonna keep her on the phone? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? And he made a good statement. He was like, I'm not trying to put her on blast. I'm not trying to put her in the public eye, Maybe that's why some people were like, after the Deezus and Miro interview on The Breakfast Club, talking about, okay, this is karma for DJ Envy. In response to that, no, I don't think it is karma for DJ. I don't think that was karma for DJ Envy. Because like I said, the majority of the interview, Envy said some stuff, and it was directed towards Michael Blackson and what they were talking about, but it wasn't anything, being joking or disrespectful towards, Michael Blackson's, his ex-girlfriend or his current relationship status, or, it was nothing like that. That's why I didn't see that. I don't know about y'all. I don't know what exactly you saw. Maybe you wear glasses with the stronger prescriptions than the ones that I got, but I didn't quite see that. Angela Yee definitely had an agenda. Why is Miss Georgia Rain on the phone? That's all I'm saying. That's what it's like. What are y'all trying to prove right here, yo? What are y'all trying to prove? And like I said, Charlamagne is Charlamagne, so, he's good. He does what Charlamagne always does, and that's so funny. Charlamagne does what he always does, but some people love him for it, some people hate him for it. Depends on who you are. You know what I'm saying? Some people eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and some people apparently just eat jelly. But anyway, it's beside the point, but true. So, I mean, yeah, the interview, it was just like, I don't completely understand, I don't think, but all right, as long as you're having fun. But, and, seeing Michael Blackson respond to, after his interview on The Breakfast Club afterward, apparently he felt the same vibe, felt like he was like basically saying, like, I'm not quoting him, he's basically saying, he's joking probably, but serious at the same time. Those are the best jokes. I'm joking, I'm just playing, but I'm not because I'm serious. It's like he felt like all three of them was attacking him at the same time. And that was an interesting interview. I'm not saying I didn't like it, but it just had some moments where I'm like, what's going on? What kind of interview is this? Who okayed this? Who gave y'all the stamp of approval to record and air this? I'm like, what are y'all doing? You're not even talking about what Michael Blackson got going on. You talking about this social media jive, this social media crap. And they just kept talking about Kevin Hart. Just in case you didn't realize this, if you didn't hear the interview, they just kept talking about Kevin Hart. They just kept going back to Kevin Hart. And to me, I was was a little whack. That was a little whack. That was a little whack. Like I said, Michael Blackson explained himself very well. I'm not saying, I wouldn't tell anybody not to go on to the Breakfast Club. I would go on to the Breakfast Club if I had a reason to, if I wanted to, if I felt like it, if they would have me, if I wanted to. But I didn't quite understand why the interview was conducted that way. That's really all I got for you. I really didn't understand why the interview was conducted that way. If you got something to say about it, please let me know in the comment section below. That was something. That was definitely something, but Michael Blackson definitely handled himself like a pro. He's got the tour coming up. Come on, Martin Lawrence, from Martin, and Mike Epps, Day from Friday. Michael Epps has been in so many things, and both funny brothers, could have been talking more so about that, or just more so about anything else besides the social media gossip crap. It's like, and it's not even that serious. It's like, here's what happened. This is what it is. Next question. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Stop looking for witnesses and victims and co-signees on this crap. It's like, you gotta guess. Can we not talk about this crap? And can we not talk? They should, instead of calling Miss Georgia Rain, they should have just called Kevin Hart. Get him on the daggone phone, because you just keep talking about the dude. Can't get his name out your mouth. Get Kevin Hart on the phone, fam. I would have appreciated that a little better, But hey, man, if you liked it, let me know why you liked it. If you didn't like it, which a lot of people didn't like that approach that they took during the interview, speaking on behalf of the Breakfast Club, that is, Charlamagne, DJ Envy, and Angela E. Hey, say what you got to say. You know what I'm saying? But that's about it. I've had enough about this. I'm tired of talking about Kevin Hart, okay? So, do your thing.